Okay, all right. So we're recording and we will make a little start. So good morning to everyone. Thank you for joining me. It's such a beautiful morning. It's so bright and sunny. So it is really nice to share this space with you. Before I start, what I always like to do when I start a mindfulness session is to not only say thank you for joining me and for coming, but also just to say well done. Because it is really hard sometimes to find that time for yourself. And I name this session Take Some Time for You on purpose, because it is quite hard to find that time for ourselves sometimes, isn't it? And just to have a bit of still and a bit of quiet. So I just kind of want to say, well done for doing that. Because it is not always easy when we have different kind of competing demands on our time. So it's really lovely to have you here. And what I'm really excited about today is talking a little bit about mindfulness. We are going to explore kind of what it is, because sometimes it's a phrase that's bandied about a little bit, and what does it really mean? We're going to have a go at some mindfulness practices together, and we're just going to see how we can kind of bring it into our day-to-day life and do that. Okay, so we're going to be for about an hour. I will try not to overrun. I do tend to get a bit passionate and talk a lot about mindfulness, so I'm going to try and keep a good eye on the time, but we will kind of make a little start. Okay, so the first thing that I want us to do is to just try a little grounding practice to just bring us kind of into the here and now. Because no doubt before you kind of sat down to do this morning, you were rushing around kind of doing stuff, trying to get everyone in their place so that you could kind of have this hour of you time. And no doubt once we finish, you're going to be rushing off and doing lots of other things as well. And sometimes we find that we kind of get stuck in the past, or we're already thinking about the next thing rather than kind of being right in the here and now. So we're just going to do a little grounding practice just to help us kind of do that, to be fully kind of present, throughout this hour together. I will kind of guide you through it. It's just a little focus kind of on our breath. Okay. So start off, make sure you're kind of sitting comfortably, have a little fidget around kind of if you need to. And I want you just to start off just by rolling your shoulders, just kind of backing out, just really kind of easing out any tension you're holding there. Okay. And then we are just going to look to the left and then turn your head to the right. Just look up and then look down. And then just bring your head slowly back up and just take a really deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Breathing in and breathing out. And then just let your breath come back to its natural rhythm, just breathing in and breathing out. We're not trying to change the breath. We're not trying to breathe in any special way. We're just breathing in and breathing out. And as you breathe, just really try and notice where you feel that breath in your body. Maybe you can feel it all the way down into your tummy as it expands and contracts. Breathing in and breathing out. Maybe you can feel it in your chest as it rises and falls, as you breathe in and as you breathe out. Maybe you can feel it just at the tip of your nose as that air goes in and goes out. Just really focusing on the sensation of that breath. Just breathing in and breathing out. If any thoughts pop into your head, and just bring your focus and your attention back to your breath. Just let those thoughts just float by like clouds in the sky. And just knowing you have nowhere else to go. Nothing else to do. No one else to be. But just you here in this moment. Just coming back to your breath, breathing in and breathing out. Becoming aware of where you are sitting, the sounds that are around you. And when you're ready, just reopen your eyes. All right, so I hope you found that all right. It's a bit hard actually when you're online and I've told you to all turn your cameras off and I assume that you're all okay. If you're not or something doesn't make sense, put it in the chat, because sometimes I will read off people's body language, but you can't do that online. All right, let's move on then. So I want to start off just with a little true or false question. Okay, so stick your answers in the chat. Tell me, what do you think of this? Do you think this is true or false? The point of mindfulness, so the reason why we do it, the point of it all is to achieve a sense of calm and peace. So what do we think? Do you think that's true or false? Okay, a lot of you are saying true. I like that you've put a little question mark there, Chrissy. True. I don't really want to fully commit. Oh, and partly true, not party true. Yeah, thanks. Well done, Nicola. Okay, so I'm going to be really bold and say that it's actually false. Okay, and this is often a bit of a misconception around mindfulness, that we think the point of it, the reason why we're doing it, is we want to be calm and peaceful. Yeah, this is why we sit down and we're quiet and we're clearing our mind of thought and we're achieving this sense of calm and peace. But what happens if you don't get that? What happens if you try and be mindful and your thoughts are still going here, there, and everywhere? You know, what happens if you can't sit still? You know, if your body is just kind of fidgety, you know, and you can't kind of settle down? You know, what happens then? Have you failed? Are you rubbish? Like, can you not even do mindfulness? And this is why a lot of people say to me that they can't do mindfulness, they can't do meditation, because they can't, you know, just be still. They don't ever feel calm and peaceful at the end of it. Their thoughts are kind of going all over the place. Okay, and it is a real shame, because that's kind of missing the point of what mindfulness actually is. Now, you will often achieve that sense of calm and peace, you know, that can kind of be a byproduct of it, but it's not actually the point of it. Okay, which I know sounds probably really radical and really extreme, but if we make it the point of it and we don't achieve it, you know, then it means that we failed. And actually, you cannot fail at being mindful. You cannot fail in a meditation. There's no such thing as a good or a bad meditation. There is just kind of what it is. So this is why I haven't continued. Yeah, because we do it and we think like, oh, this is just something else I'm rubbish at. I can't even sit still, you know, and it really affects our kind of self-esteem. And it really is not the kind of point of mindfulness. Okay, so this is what we're going to be exploring, kind of what are some of the main foundations kind of mindfulness, you know, why are we doing it? So let me just see if it will let me skip on to the next bit. Okay, so what is it then? If we're not being calm and peaceful and quiet, why are we bothering to do it then? What's the point of it? And what I kind of really want to encourage you today to see that mindfulness is not just another thing that we have to do on our to-do list, that we're ticking off. Oh, have I eaten my 5 fruit and veg? Have I drunk enough water? Have I had my mindfulness moment? It's not confined to this kind of self-care activity. It's a way in which we can kind of see the world and kind of live our life. And I feel really passionate about that, in that it is that everyday mindfulness that has the biggest kind of benefits, and the greatest kind of outcomes for us. So when I explain kind of mindfulness, I'm quite a visual person. I'm a very visual learner, so I like to use a kind of visual imagery, to explain this. So I want you to imagine that you are on a boat on a river, okay, and this boat is pretty rickety. Okay, it's not particularly river worthy. You've got 2 kind of dodgy oars. It's not really working, and it's really, hard. The flow of that river is really fast, and you're going against the flow. Okay, there are lots of different obstacles, and if you're trying to use these dodgy oars, to get around it, there's loads of swans kind of flying at you, kind of hissing at you, because some geese are kind of flying, they're almost kind of taking off your head, and then the wind starts to really blow, the rain is pouring down, and oh god, it's so stressful and it's really intense, and then somehow you manage to get yourself over to the bank, okay, and you manage to just sit on that bank for a moment of that river. Okay, now you are not changing that river. Okay, that river is still kind of flowing fast. You're going to have to get back onto it at some point, but just for a moment, just for this precise moment, you are taking a step back and just having a little break. And in a way, this is partly kind of what mindfulness is. It is teaching us that skill of being able to step back, because so often in life we get so caught up in that emotion, in the kind of the extreme and the stress and the tension of it, and it becomes all consuming and it's really exhausting. But if we can just take that bit of a step back from it, we're not changing it. We're not changing that situation. We're not becoming, we're just not bothered about that anymore because we're really calm and we practice mindfulness. No, it's just taking that step back and not being so overwhelmed and consumed by it. And when we do that, we just feel like we have a little bit more control over it, rather than our emotions having control over us. We can exert that little bit of control back. Okay. So what mindfulness, one of the foundations, one of the concepts kind of in it, is that it helps us kind of be in the here and now. Okay, we learn through the mindfulness kind of practices, through kind of living mindfully. We are living kind of in each kind of present moment. Now with that, you might achieve that sense of calm and that sense of peace, but it's not the point, because sometimes you might be in the present moment and it's pretty stressful. Okay, but it's about taking that step back and looking, at that stress and not being so consumed about it. Because, doing this can really help us in our well-being, because I don't know about you, but often the times where I feel kind of stressed or worried, it's not about something that's happening in the right here and the right now. It's something that happened earlier that morning, or maybe yesterday, and I'm still kind of thinking about it and perhaps feeling a bit bad that I snapped at someone, which is a thing that I often do, or I should have done that differently, why didn't I do it that way? Or we're thinking about the future, thinking, what if this doesn't go wrong, doesn't go right, or what if I can't do that, or what if it doesn't work the way I think it would? And those things can really cause us kind of stress and worry. But mindfulness teaches us just to live moment to moment to moment. We're in the here and the now, because this moment is the only moment we have any kind of resemblance of control over. And Thich Nhat Hanh, who is a Buddhist monk who died just a couple of weekends ago, he was a really great mindfulness teacher, and he said, to live in the moment. Only this moment is life, because if we are living in the past and living in the future, we're not actually living kind of right now. So the point, one of the points of mindfulness in a way is to try and live in the present moment as much as you possibly can do. Okay. And I'm not saying you have to do it all the time, because is that realistic? We do have to think about the future. We do have to think about the past, but it's always about coming home to yourself, coming back to this present moment. Okay. All right. So what can sometimes get in the way of that, and sometimes, impact, on us, is that our brain is still kind of going. We are trying to come back to the present moment. Oh, I am in the here and now, but what do I need to get from Tesco later? I mustn't forget I need to pick up that milk. All of those things, okay, can kind of be going on. And if our mind is kind of going, we're like, oh God, I'm not doing it right again. Like, I can't even be in the present moment. Like, I'm rubbish at this. I'm terrible. Okay, but I want to just do a little experiment with you, just to kind of illustrate my point here. Okay, so what I want you to do, I'm going to count to 30 seconds, and I'm probably going to count quite quickly, but I want you to just try not to think of anything for 30 seconds. Okay, think of nothing. Okay, don't even think, oh, I'm thinking of nothing. Just try not to think of anything for 30 seconds. All right, I'm going to start counting. Go. Okay, that was a really quick 30 seconds, because I'm a really quick counter. Did anyone manage to think of nothing? Put it in the chat if you think you did. Joe's a no. Sarah, nope. Michelle, no. Chrissy, no. Okay, we got a yes. Nicholas saying not a chance. Okay. Emma's a no. And again, I just kind of want to reassure you, because sometimes we can be frustrated with ourselves, like, oh, my mind is kind of going, all the time. It's really difficult to do that. And I just want to reassure you, that's a really natural thing. Okay, this is what your brain is designed to do. The reason we have survived, the reason we have evolved, as species, for this amount of time, is because of our wonderful brain, because we are so good at risk assessing. We are so good at planning out and analyzing, and thinking, how can we avoid that dangerous situation? What is it can I do? And effectively, this is what our brain is doing kind of all of the time. It's risk assessing, it's planning. And, that is great. It's really good to do that. But if we see our brain almost as if it's kind of on a treadmill, if you are physically walking on a treadmill all day, you're physically going to get really tired, right? And it's kind of what our brain can sometimes do as well. Why sometimes we feel overwhelmed and feel stressed and kind of feel burnt out, because our mind is just going kind of all of the time. So again, mindfulness is not, telling us not to think, we're not clearing our minds of, thought, because that is impossible to do. But what we are doing instead is just kind of noticing what those thoughts are, being aware of kind of what our thoughts are thinking. So if we're trying to kind of, be in the present moment, and I'm thinking about what it is I need to buy at Tesco later, that's a little kind of sign for me to think, okay, I'm worried about forgetting something. Maybe I need to make a list, or maybe I need to, cut myself a bit of slack. If I forget something, I can go another time. It's not a big deal. So it just helps us kind of develop this kind of sense of awareness of where we are at, rather than just blindly kind of going through life. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to just have a little meditation practice here. Now, this is called a body scan practice. I wanted to try and do lots of different types of kind of meditation practices. So we've done a little bit right at the beginning, kind of being aware of our breath. This one here is a body scan. And what we're basically going to do, we're going to bring attention to lots of different parts of our body. Okay, so we'll start at our feet and we'll kind of work our way up kind of to our head. So you don't need to do anything. You don't need any special equipment. It is just a case of following kind of my voice. If your mind wanders, don't worry. Okay, just bring yourself kind of back. Just gently guide yourself back to your breath, kind of back to my voice. There is no right or wrong way to do this. Okay, there really isn't. You can't do it wrong. It is more about that awareness of kind of what is happening, and just come into it with that sense of curiosity. What does it feel like? Can I put my attention to different parts of the body? What does that feel like? Can I kind of sit still, or am I really tense actually? Is my mind kind of going everywhere, or can I, just step back and observe, my thoughts? Just come to it, with that sense of curiosity, and seeing kind of what happens. All right. So again, just have a little initial fidge if you need to. I'm just going to take a slurp of water so that my voice doesn't give out partway through. And we're just going to start again, just coming back to the breath. So just starting off with a couple of deep breaths. So breathing in and out. Breathing in and breathing out. You might like to close your eyes or just lower your gaze. But again, just breathing, and maybe just see if you can breathe just a little bit deeper than what you would do naturally. Maybe making that in-breath maybe just a second longer. Maybe that out-breath just 1 or 2 seconds longer. And just as you breathe, I want to just see if you can bring your focus, your attention down to your feet. Just really noticing how your feet feel resting against the surface. Do they feel warm? Do they feel cold? Just really noticing how they feel. And then just see if you can let your feet go heavy. Just let those muscles relax. Almost as if you're allowing them to switch off. Always coming back to the breath, just breathing in and breathing out. And then just see if you can bring your attention up to your legs. Again, just really noticing how they feel resting against the surface that they are. And just seeing if you can ever so slightly let them relax. Let them go a little bit heavier. Any tension that is there, just letting it slide away. And then bringing your focus up to the central part of your body, your tummy and your chest. Just noticing how they feel against your clothes. Just letting your tummy fully relax. And then up to your shoulders, just seeing if you can let your shoulders just drop ever so slightly away from your ears. Noticing any tension that has crept in there. And just let it melt away like warm butter on toast. And just let that sense of melting come down your arms all the way to your hands. Just letting go of anything you're holding on to, anything you're grasping for. Just in this moment, just let it go. Coming up through your neck to your face, your head. Relaxing the jaw a little, relaxing the forehead, the eyes. Any tightness that is there, just try and let it soften just ever so slightly. And just being aware of your whole body now. Just seeing if you can let it be a little bit softer, be a little bit heavier. And just let it be whatever it is right here, right now. Coming back to the breath, breathing in and breathing out. Just feeling your whole body just a little bit more relaxed. And when you're ready, just reopening your eyes. All right. Hope that's all right. Okay. So again, kind of doing mindfulness practices like that, sometimes we can get really caught up in our head, can't we? And we think of ourselves just as a thinking being, and we can forget, our physical self. So mindfulness practices like that can be really good, to reconnect our kind of body and mind. Okay. And again, not really trying to change, or alter, things in a really dramatic way, but just becoming aware. When we really start to notice each body part, we can think, oh, actually, yeah, my tummy is kind of really tense and my shoulders are kind of up here and I hadn't really realized. That's often what I find in a body scan practice anyway. And it just teaches us to be aware of how we are actually feeling kind of in that moment. How is our body? Like if we use that river analogy again, like how are we coping with all of that drama of that, busy river? And, in that awareness, it's not really trying to make us change. It's not trying to say, oh, okay, well, you should be dealing with that in this way, or you should be calmer about it. You shouldn't be so stressed about that. It more teaches us to accept kind of how we are. How are we kind of in this here and now? And actually, whatever you are living from moment to moment to moment, you are just perfect in that moment. And this is why mindfulness, in a way, it can feel quite weird for some of us. And also, it is quite a bold concept in our society where we are often encouraged to change. We need to be better. We should be physically stronger. We should be calmer. We should be more empathic. We should be more loving to everybody, and, and to do this, you need to have this special thing, or you need to look this certain way. You need to act this certain way. And mindfulness, really sticks up two fingers to that societal concept, because it just kind of teaches us, whatever you are in this moment, who cares what you are in the past? Who cares what you'll be in the future? Right here in this moment, you are living this moment, and you are perfect, like just the way you are. And that is a kind of radical acceptance, of ourselves, and accepting us for all our amazing qualities, all of the things that we perceive as flaws, whatever it is, it's just us. And we're amazing right here in this moment. And that is the kind of the real freeing thing about mindfulness, in a way, is that you don't have to try and be something else. You are just you from moment to moment to moment. Okay. All right. So we are thinking about what mindfulness is. It's teaching us to be in the present moment. It's teaching us to be aware of how we are, in that present moment. It's teaching us to accept ourselves kind of in that present moment. But what it kind of teaches us as well is a little bit of a mindset kind of shift, too, in that what we often find we will do, and again, this comes back to our amazing brain that is just so wonderful. It's trying to keep us safe, our lovely brain. It's trying to keep us away, from danger. So what we often find is that 10 pretty good things can happen in a day, or, things can go pretty smoothly. One thing can go slightly wrong, and we will obsess about that slightly wrong thing for the entire rest of the day. We forget all the other good stuff. We forget the fact that we got up on time. We forget the fact that we managed to remember to brush our teeth today. We forget the fact that, we got ourselves out of the house, on time. But we all obsess about the fact that we were late to it. We should have gone the other way. We shouldn't have gone on that route. We know that routes sometimes get busy. We should have gone around the other way. Why did I do that? Now I'm going to be late. Now I'm not going to have enough time to do all this stuff. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And again, we can't be angry at our brain for doing that, because it is just doing the natural thing it's doing. It's trying to process, it's trying to analyze, it's trying to say, right, we need to avoid the situation happen again. So how can I make sure it doesn't, happen again? But the thing is, if we constantly focus on the one negative thing, the balance is kind of going off a little bit. Okay, and we just see the world in a very negative kind of light, instead of remembering there is the bit of the positive too. So what mindfulness is teaching us is not to ignore that negative, not at all. If we're sitting on that riverbank, we're not ignoring the busy river, not at all, but we're just not giving it all of our attention. So, if that one bad thing happens, we're acknowledging it, we're aware of it, we're accepting of it, but we're not focusing on it completely. We are, bringing some attention, back to the other good stuff that happens, so that balance just kind of evens out, a little bit more. So we're not kind of, like that all of the time. So what I want you to just think about now, and if you feel able to, just stick it in the chat, because it's always interesting to see what people kind of think. I want you to just think in yourself, kind of in your own life, what kind of emotions do you think you would like to feel more of? And maybe what things would you like to experience less of? Okay, so just spend a few minutes, just kind of put it in there if you feel able to. It'd be interesting to see. So Chrissy, more pure happiness. Yeah, that is a lovely feeling, isn't it? And less worried. Yeah. So Joe, I want to feel more content, proud of myself, and pleased with what I achieve. Nicola, less of the what ifs and worry. Yeah. Emma, less worrying. Yeah. And that's something that I do a lot of. I am quite a worrier. And I do the thing as well, Nicola. I was doing it a lot this morning. Like, what if I can't get the Zoom to work? What if it doesn't record? What if Chewy starts barking like my dog? So yeah, so Sarah, I'd like to feel more compassionate and love towards myself. Yeah. Joe, to feel less, what do other people think, or should I have done differently? Yeah. And again, that is just our brain, isn't it? You know, our wonderful, lovely brain is trying to keep ourselves safe. You know, we are trying to think, well, how should I do it differently next time? You know, and ultimately, you know, if we go back right to our kind of primal brain, we're tribal creatures, right? We want to be around people. There's kind of safety in the pack. So, you know, this is why sometimes I think we will often have people pleasing tendencies, you know, or we're thinking, oh, what do they think of that? You know, are they okay? Because we want to be part of the pack, you know, because that our primal brain is telling us we're safe, you know, if we are part of the pack, you know, so that's really understandable. Our brain, you know, does that. So more calm, self-acceptance and happiness, less overthinking, analyzing, never feeling I've done enough. Yeah. And again, that's a real thing in our society at the moment, isn't it? That we should be doing stuff all of the time, you know, and if we're sitting doing nothing, we're wasting time. We should be more kind of productive. And I feel that in my own life as well. You know, sometimes I find it really genuinely hard to do nothing, you know, and it's really weird. I feel like I've been conditioned. I should be doing stuff kind of all of the time, or there's always something to do. But it is learning to sometimes be all right with doing nothing, which can be really hard. So again, what kind of mindfulness can really help with is just redressing that balance a little bit, bringing a bit of that focus, you know, on the positive, you know, rather, you know, than just thinking about the negative stuff that happens. And like I said, it's not ignoring it. It's, you know, mindfulness doesn't turn you into this kind of Zen robot where nothing ever stresses you out ever again. Because that's just not realistic, is it? Because life can be really stressful, you know, at times. But what it just means sometimes is that you are not stuck kind of in that stress all of the time. You're able to kind of just redress that balance a little bit by bringing a bit more attention and a little bit of focus again to the positive things, you know, that are happening. Okay. So what we're going to do kind of in that vein, we're going to do another type of kind of meditation, which is like a visualization. So I'm going to create like a little picture in your mind. I'm going to ask you to use your imagination and kind of come with a little sense of play, you know, with this as well. Come with that sense of curiosity. If the mind kind of wanders, just focus kind of back on the breath. But I will just kind of guide you through a visualization, which is just going to help us think of kind of positive kind of things again. All right. So make yourself comfy, fidget around if you need to, move about. And then just come again, just breathing in and breathing out. We're not trying to breathe in a special way. We're not trying to alter the breath. We're just really noticing where we feel that breath in our body. And just as you breathe, I want you to just see if you can use your imagination. And just in your mind's eye, just imagine that you are standing in a meadow. And as you stand there, just imagine you looking around. You can see some trees in the distance. You can see the long grass and the wildflowers. You can feel the grass beneath your feet. You can feel a warm breeze against your face. You can hear the birds singing. You can hear the long grass just rustling in that warm breeze. There's no other distractions. There's nothing else that you have to be doing. Just living in this moment, in this meadow. Just hearing the sounds around you. And you're just standing here, just breathing in and breathing out. And just right here in this moment, you feel a sense of calm. Like nothing else has your focus but just being here. And as you stand here and you just feel quite calm and peaceful, you almost can't help a little smile just come on your face. Because whatever has happened before, whatever happens next, right here, right now, you feel happy. You feel content. And just see if you can imagine that you look up towards the sun. And as you do, you feel a sense of warmth start to come down onto your head and flowing really slowly and gently throughout your whole body. Down your neck, your shoulders, down your arms to your hands, down your torso, down your legs, all the way down to your feet. And you notice that as this sense of warmth comes down, you look down and it's almost as if your skin is glowing. And as you see that glowing, you know it is all the happiness that you have, all the compassion that you have for yourself. And just knowing that right here, right now, you are just perfect as you are. You don't have to prove anything to anyone, not even yourself. Just right here, right now, with this glow, you are okay. And just coming back to the breath, just breathing in and breathing out. And as you breathe out, that golden glow just spreads around you. And you know that even when you leave here, that golden glow is always within you. Sometimes we just need to take a step back to be able to find it. Just breathing in and breathing out. Becoming aware now of the sounds around you, the surface where you're sitting. And when you're ready, you can reopen your eyes. Okay. All right. So what I want us to just have a little go at now is kind of like a process of inquiry, which can sometimes be really nice to do after a meditation practice. Again, just to bring a little bit more of that awareness to how did we feel in that practice. And again, there is no right or wrong way to do it. And don't kind of feel ashamed or feel like, oh well, I didn't really do it right, because I couldn't imagine myself in that meadow. Like, I was just thinking about what washing I needed to do later. Like, that's fine. Okay, it's all right. You haven't done it wrong. And just to share, like, when I was doing my teacher training kind of for mindfulness, like, to begin with, I never like took part in the inquiry thing, because I'd be like, I don't want people to think I'm not taking it seriously because I'm just thinking about what I've got to do at work the next day. So it can feel a bit weird to begin with, but just be as honest as you feel you can be. And if you're able to, like, put it in the chat. I'd just be interested to kind of to just know, like, when we were doing that practice, like, how did you notice how you felt physically? Was your body a little bit tense, or was it a little bit relaxed? How did you find the breath? How were your thoughts? Were you able to stay in that moment, or were you kind of drifting in and out a little bit? Was it quite pleasant, or was it a little bit uncomfortable? Was it quite hard to do that? Did it feel a bit strange? Just kind of put kind of what it is you found. Right, Joe, I felt heavy. Yeah, but a sense of lightness too. Yeah, I know what you mean. Sometimes, it's, you can kind of relax into that kind of heaviness, and it's almost as if like steam is kind of coming off you, like that kind of lightness. So Chrissy, body was relaxed, but my mind kept drifting to my to-do list. Yeah, and again, it's just noticing that. Actually, sometimes it's only when we take that step back we think, God, I do a lot. Like, I managed to do and balance like so much. Like, I'm bloody amazing. Like, that I have to do all of these things and I manage to do it, every day, even if I don't get everything done on my to-do list. Like, God, I'm good. Like, so, take credit for yourself, Chrissy. And so Sarah, I felt relaxed and calm, thoughts coming in, but it was okay because you told me that it was okay. Yeah, 100%. Um, I've done meditation for a really long time now. There are still days, and they happen very often, where my mind is still like constantly during that meditation. And sometimes I almost feel like I have a split mind. So, like, I'm kind of focusing on my breath here, but over here, like, I'm thinking about what I need to do next. So that, and it's all right. It's just what's happening. So Michelle, your body felt relaxed and my mind felt still. So Emma, thinking of plans for today, but my body felt quite relaxed. Yeah. And again, it's just knowing that, and it's accepting that that's where your mind kind of is. And in a way, just that awareness of it can be quite nice, because so often we don't realize that's what we're doing. We don't realize that we're living in the future. Like all of the time, we're not living in the here and now. And sometimes, like, the more we notice something, the more we're able to try and challenge that a little bit, and come back like, oh, okay, I'm thinking about that. I need to just come back to here and now and do this. So Nicola, I felt lovely. I noticed the birds singing, the cool air coming in through the window, and it became part of it. Having a bit of a monkey mind day, so thought kept coming in and out. Yeah, and it is just, it's all right. Your thoughts are going to come and go. Like we did with the don't think of anything kind of exercise. It's really hard to not think of anything completely. It is your thoughts will kind of come in, but mindfulness, again, it's just that practice of coming back, just keep coming back. Okay, and that is what it is in a sense. Okay, lovely, thank you guys. All right, so just a kind of a little recap. Mindfulness, I mean, I could literally, I'm quite conscious of the time now because I could talk forever about it, and it's so multifaceted and so kind of multi-layered, but these are kind of some of the main things that I think are just really useful to know to kind of start off with. So it's all about just coming back to the present moment, being aware of how we are feeling, encouraging us to just accept us, who we are in that present moment, not ignoring the negatives, but just bringing the focus a little bit back on the positives. Okay, and that's essentially, is a really good place to start with, kind of being mindful, just to keep coming back, aware of how you're feeling, accepting how you are, knowing that your mind is going to want to take you to the negative, but just coming back to the positive again and again. And I just wanted to explain a little bit about kind of what is going on in the brain, when we're doing this, because it can feel really nice, it can feel really good, but there's actually stuff we're changing kind of in the brain, when we are practicing mindfulness. And it's this concept of kind of neuroplasticity, which means that we can change and alter the neural connections, in our brain. So when we are doing those practices, when we are taking that step back, when we are going, into that meadow, when we are kind of focusing on our breath, what we are doing is we are developing new neural connections in our brain, which are helping us to take that step back, to strengthen different parts of the brain, which means that, we are not just kind of ruled by our limbic system, which is where our emotions are going. We are firing up the prefrontal cortex, which is where our kind of assessing and analyzing brain can be. So that, when those emotions kind of fire up, also the other part of the brain fires up, which just helps us to take that kind of step back. And we have to kind of see mindfulness as a bit of a skill. And it is that thing, the more we practice it, the more skilled we become. So again, sometimes what people say to me, oh, I tried it a couple of times and I didn't really see the point of it. It didn't really change anything. Well, it is a skill. So the same as if you were to learn French, if you took 2 French lessons, well, I took 2 French lessons, I can't speak it, so I'm not going to bother anymore. It's the same kind of thing. Yeah, you can't expect to take 2 French lessons and speak French fluently. The same as you can't expect to just try mindfulness a couple of times and expect to have all these kind of wonderful benefits, of it. Because each time you are doing it, you are strengthening those neural connections. And maybe you'll be doing it, practicing kind of regularly, for a week, a couple of weeks, a month, and you think, is this having any impact? Like, am I any different? What's going on? And then all of a sudden, like, something will happen, and it's something that would normally have kind of caused you stress, but actually you think, I'm not that bothered, about that. Actually, that's really unusual. And I have a lot of these kind of instances now, which feels, then I have that bit of smugness, like, aha, like my mindfulness practice is working. So we had an instance at work a little while ago where all of our communication systems went down. Everything was just like down, and quite a lot of people understandably were freaking out about that, and we're really like, oh my god, I've got so much to do, like I can't, blah blah blah. And I actually didn't feel that stressed about it, because I thought, okay, well, me stressing about it isn't going to change the situation. I'd brought a book with me that day, so I just sat and read my book for 5 minutes. And people were like, "Oh, you're not stressed about it?" I'm like, "Oh no, I'll just get done when it gets done." And I think beforehand, I would have been very like, "Oh my God, I can't, I need to do all this stuff." And I would have perhaps been more stressed than I was. But again, that mindfulness practice, those neural connections kind of kicked in, and I was able to take that step back and not be so overruled, by our emotions. So, if we see kind of mindfulness, if we similar it to like a physical kind of workout, you build kind of more muscle, the more that you do. So the more you kind of practice mindfulness, the more you will kind of see the benefits. But again, I don't want it to become, think, okay, well, now there's something else I've got to do. Like I've got to work out, I've got to drink my water, I've got to get enough sleep, and now I need to practice mindfulness, every day. And again, I would really encourage you not to just constrict it to like a meditation practice. Don't just constrict it in that way, but every kind of moment in your life, just live in that moment as much as you possibly can, and if you find yourself drifting off, into the future, just kind of come back to the now. If you find yourself getting kind of worrying about something that has happened in the past, just bring yourself kind of back to the now and just live each moment to moment to moment. And that effectively is just living mindfully, just living kind of in the present moment and not stressing out, not thinking you're doing it wrong if you find that hard to do. Again, it's a practice. We develop and we get better at it the more we kind of do it. So it is just having those kind of little reminders and doing whatever it is you need to do to have that reminder. Like I have a little reminder set up on my phone, like at midday every day, and it just flashes up on my phone. It says, "Are you in the present moment?" And again, that is just a little reminder for me, to just like, where is my mind at right now? And my students kind of at college that I've done mindfulness kind of courses with, I've like text them, like when we're doing the course, I text them each day, like a little quote, or to say like, are you in the present moment? Where is kind of your mind at? Again, just those little reminders to bring them into the here and now. And at first I thought I was massively annoying them because none of them like replied to me. So I was thinking when I saw them next week, I was like, "Oh, did that help?" And oh no, it really did help actually, because it was just that visual thing to come back to the here and now. Okay, so that's what I mean by living kind of mindfully every day, not constricting it, to just a meditation practice, or just I'll take a mindful walk, or listening to music and really listening, to it, but just everything that you do, just really kind of savor it. So if you're doing the washing up, really feel that washing up. If you're cooking tea, really get involved in kind of cooking the tea. Yeah, even the smallest mundane things you can kind of do mindfully, and you'll perhaps notice that the more you're in the here and now, the happier and the more relaxed and the more at peace you do feel. So just to kind of follow on for that, I am doing some more kind of online mindfulness like teaching at the end of February. And again, I've called it kind of everyday mindfulness because it is just exploring a little bit like what we've done today, exploring kind of what mindfulness, is, what it means for us personally, not worrying about what anyone else thinks about it, but how can I bring that into my everyday life? And we will be exploring things, kind of personalizing it to us, like having some kind of discussions. I've got like different kind of visual things to look at, different activities to help us explore that. We'll be doing mindfulness kind of practice and the inquiry kind of process as well, kind of each time that we meet. So, it is again just that time, for you to really kind of focus on yourself and your well-being and kind of how you are. And I'll also send kind of short, like 5 to 10 minute kind of pre-recorded meditations, just to help, if you want that little bit of structure kind of throughout the week. Like today, like fingers crossed the recording's right. There will be recorded sessions, so if you have to miss a week, then you can always catch up later. So it's a 6-week kind of online course. We'll meet every Monday. We will meet at 7:30, or I think it might be 7 o'clock actually, even though I've put 7:30 on there. And we'll meet, for about 90 minutes, and just explore it a little bit more, just to understand mindfulness at a bit of a deeper level, and just to encourage you to have that kind of regular practice, however it looks. So it's £64 for the 6 weeks. And if anyone wants to know a little bit more, I'm more than happy, to speak to you about it, or got any questions or want to see. Yeah, I think it is 7 o'clock, isn't it, Sarah? I don't know why I've put 7:30 there, but I can't quite remember what we said now, but I'll figure that out. We'll sort that out. We've got a bit of time to discuss that. Thank you, Jo. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to stop the recording now. But if anyone is watching on the recording, then, I hope you have found that a really helpful just introduction into kind of what mindfulness is, and to have a bit of time, for yourself as well. And any questions, please do just kind of contact me. All right, so let me just stop the recording now.